Welcome back to the Filthy Report. My name is Jason Filthy Jones, bringing you the dirtiest information with the cleanest style. Let's get geeked up. What's up, my geeks? I'm back here again with another report, giving you any information about anything that's geek. I'm talking anime, comic books, movies, TV shows, you name it. If it's geek, I'm into it, so let's get into it. First off, at the beginning of the show, let's start off with none other than an anime. Now, this is an anime that's not particularly talked about a lot because of the reason it is a manga anime that would be considered more like a horror series. And it has its twists and turns and kookiness about it. So it's none other than The Goblin Slayer. The Goblin Slayer is an anime that is created by Kugia Kumo, who tells a story about adventurers. And what I'm talking about is this is a story that takes place in a fantasy world, a dark fantasy world, where adventurers come from far and wide to join a guild, and they take in contracts to earn gold and glory. Now, the story first starts off with a priestess, and she's not the main character, but she is one of the main characters in the team. The priestess is a young priestess that just started out and just came to a town to join a guild. And she finds herself with a bunch of adventurers who are all brand new to doing adventuring and doing contracts to earn gold or glory. And right at the starting point, you see that the priestess has stepped into something that she probably should have not. She joins a team that has no skill, no experience or anything. And in a blink of an eye, they're all killed. And the only one that's left to survive is the priestess. And the only reason she survives is she's saved by an armored knight that goes by the name of the Goblin Slayer. And his sole purpose in this whole world is to eradicate goblins. Now, guys, this anime is quite a different anime because of the way the horror is depicted and how the story is told. Now, if you're squeamish, you're not comfortable with horror, gore, nudity, or even some of the most taboo things out there that normally wouldn't be discussed in normal conversations, this might not be the anime for you. And you might just want to pass it by. But if you're into the spookiness, the Halloween kind of vibe and everything, trust me, this is an anime you're going to want to look out for. Now, I'm also going to tell you right off the bat, this is not for kids. Do not let little kids watch this show. Trust me, I've talked about it with a couple of different friends about this anime, and you'll know from the first episode if you'll be into the anime or not. Give it a shot, especially during this season being Halloween. I would take advantage of checking it out. It's usually on anywhere from Crunchyroll to Amazon Prime to Funimation to Toonami. You'll find it out there, and it's going to have a TVMA rating on it. It's a great, crazy anime that I somewhat have already fallen in love with, and I'm also going to let you guys know that they're already working on season 2, so it should be coming out early in 2021. So if you guys get a chance, make sure you check it out. It's called The Goblin Slayer. Trust me, it's a phenomenal anime and manga. If you guys can pick up the manga, pick up the manga. You'll thank me later. All right, guys, with all that being said, let's get into some comic books. Now, we're not going to really be talking about actual comic books today. What we're going to be talking about is comic book movies. Now, Josh Boone comes out directing and writing a comic book movie that's based off of the comic book series, The New Mutants. And The New Mutants was created by Chris Claremont and Bob McLean. And these guys had a total different storyline of telling comic books. Now, to group this comic book in with like X-Men and stuff wouldn't be particularly correct because they're more grouped in with like Doctor Strange, Blade, Ghost Rider, a very dark fantasy comic book mixed with magic and mutants. So this movie starts off telling the story of the 5 original members of the team, which you would know them if you're a comic book fan as Mirage, Wolfbane, Sunspot, Cannonball, and Magique. And they find themselves in a facility which is supposed to be telling them that they're going to be curing them of their powers to set them and release them back into the human world so they'll no longer be mutants. As they start to tell their stories about their backgrounds of how they developed their powers and letting their memories unfold, they come to find out what was supposed to be their safe haven is actually not their safe haven and is turning into their worst nightmare. Now, guys, the way that they picked this movie is they're saying that it's actually a horror movie. When you look at the comic book, it's not really a horror comic book. It's more of a dark fantasy comic book. But besides all that, this actually tells a storyline in a segment of the series of the New Mutants that's a little bit later on before the actual team gets formed. So if you're a huge comic book geek and you know the background of the New Mutants comic book and you know how the team was formed and what comes about the team, it's feeling a little bit lackluster in the movie. But trust me, the movie is really good and it is really done well. And the one part that I take out of this of knowing about this movie is that it's supposed to blend in with X-Men and the X-Force movies, meaning that it just opens up the Marvel Cinema Universe a little bit more, and I can't wait to see. I'm hoping that they're going to continue on with doing what they're plotting this movie to be, as just another spin-off movie to create more movies for the Marvel Cinema Universe. So if you have the time and movie theaters are open in your area, please go check out the movie, The New Mutants. It's a good one to see, and sticking always with the Halloween vibe, it's a nice one to have for Halloween. All right, guys, with Halloween being this weekend, I had to come to you guys with a hit streaming show that's been talked about all over social media, that's been said to be the newest, hottest series for this season. And I'm talking about none other than The Haunting of Bly Manor, who is created by none other than the new king of horror, Mike Flanagan. He comes back to Netflix, continuing his haunting series with The Haunting of Bly Manor. Now, this is a little bit different story than the last one that he did, where this story is based off of a storyline of, I think it's Henry James who created To Turn a Screw. And this story is told about an American girl who comes to London to be a nanny for 2 problem children who are young children going by the names of Miles and Flora Wingrave. Where Danny comes to London to stay at this manor, she runs into the cook named Owen, Hannah, the housekeeper, and Jamie, the gardener. And as she moves into the house and starts to meet the people and starts to hear the events that happen at the house, she feels that she stepped into a place that she shouldn't have, and where she thought it was going to be her dream job, it turns into her worst nightmare. Now, the series is only about 9 episodes long, and it's a great show to binge right with Halloween being on this weekend or right before Halloween hits. Now, where they tell the story as being a horror show, to me, on my opinion, at the end of the show, I don't feel like it's actually a horror show. I feel like it's more of a suspense drama. But don't get me wrong. It still has all the ghosts and all the spooks and has all the chills and jumps that you normally would get from a suspenseful movie or a supernatural movie. But it's lacking in the area of horror. It is a really good show done correctly, and I do like how at the end of the show, I'm not giving away any spoilers, at the end of the show it really ties everything together and piecing everything together. Now, what I will tell you is this is one of those shows that you don't want to miss an episode and you want to pay attention all the time, because there's so much going on and there's so many storylines that you can get lost in the show very quickly. And trust me, It's a long build up to the jumps and spooks and everything that comes out. And always be paying attention. There's stuff going on in the background. There's you might notice ghosts, you might notice other things, you might notice things that might not even are supposed to be there that are there. So, if you guys have the time and you have Netflix, go ahead, sit back, chill, and throw on The Haunting of Bly Manor. It's a good show that you're not going to want to miss, and it's great for Halloween. With all that being said, let's get into the news. There's been a lot of announcements this week, and one coming out of Netflix, which is a huge one. Netflix released their anime festival this week and releasing some information about anime series that they're going to be bringing out, coming out this year. So far, they have announced that they're going to be having a Pacific Rim, the Black animated series, which is based off of the Pacific Rim movie, coming out. Also, they're going to be having the Resident Evil series animated coming out to Netflix this coming year. And the biggest one of them all, a live action Netflix Assassin's Creed series. Now, guys, I don't know if you guys have played Assassin's Creed. If you haven't, you guys should go pick it up. It's a great video game. This is coming off of that video game series. And if you guys haven't seen the Assassin's Creed movie, you might want to go watch it. It will give you a little bit of an idea of where they're going with this live action series. Now, another big thing that was released about anime this week would have to be the anime news that came out of Japan, that the Demon Slayer movie has hit $10 billion, and it has been the fastest movie in Japan to ever hit that kind of revenue in the matter of 2 weeks. Now, what's so amazing about this is letting you guys know how big anime is becoming. It is blasting across the world now, and Demon Slayer is taking it and running that torch straight to the screen. So I will be talking about Demon Slayer later on in Let's Get Geeked Up. I just want to catch this movie that just came out, and then I'll be giving you guys a little bit more information, so stay tuned for that. The other big thing that was announced, I don't know if you guys have ever played the Uncharted series on PlayStation. It's a very famous video game that would, I would say, give you a reminiscence of maybe like Tomb Raider and also like Indiana Jones, if it wasn't, if Indiana Jones had the video game styles as like Tomb Raider. So what they're doing with this now is that they're going to be creating a live action Uncharted movie. And it's going to be actually the prequel to everything that's going on. And where I see that they're trying to go with this is I think they're trying to make this the new kind of Tomb Raider series or the new Indiana Jones series and bringing it to the big screen. And none other playing the main character for Uncharted will be Tom Holland. Guys, I think Tom Holland's a phenomenal actor for this. I can't wait for the series to start, meaning the series of movies that they're going to be creating after this. And I think it's going to just hit it out the park. Be paying attention for that. I'll be talking about that as more gets released about that. Now, the biggest thing to me that made me so damn happy to hear was, I don't know how big of a comic book geek fan you guys are and how big of a Batman fan you are, but there was an animated series that was beloved by so many that everybody wanted to see it in a live action series or a live action movie. And with the information that has been leaked and released, that Michael Keaton has signed a very lengthy contract with DC Film Studios, meaning that Michael Keaton will be playing the most perfect role. If you guys haven't heard about this Batman, I don't know if you guys have been sleeping under a rock, but you have been missing out. So remember what I talked about in the last Geeked Up episode, that HBO Max series had picked up all of the streaming content from DC Universe. Now, with that being said, they have announced that they're going to be releasing the Batman Beyond series to HBO Max series. With that being said, Michael Keaton will be playing old Bruce Wayne as the old Batman handing over the torch to Terry. So be on the lookout for that. As more gets released about that, I'll be talking about that. Anyways, with all that being said and done, guys, that's all I have for the news for this week. Stay tuned for the next Let's Get Geeked Up episode. And like always, thank you for coming and checking out the channel. And if this is your first time, please hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up. If you like anything that's in this video, let me know and leave me a message in the comments. Till next time, guys, happy Halloween and peace.